Hey everyone, as we promised, the second newsflash video related to one of the cars which will be released by the end of the month in the Brit Pack, which is a DLC from Razer Studios for Automobilista. And this car is the Ultima GTR, in this case the street version. So we published a few days ago this car in the race version, and now we are showing you and sharing with you our thoughts on the street version car. So in case you don't know, the Ultima GTR is the Ultima. So this car is the quickest supercar, both in accelerating and decelerating, the quickest supercar in the world. And it is a multiple world speed record holder. So yeah, surprise. Well, surprise, but after you drive it, yeah, this is so easy to happen, and this is why we decided to include this specific situation in the footage. Well, surprise, but only if you didn't drive. Of course, most of you didn't drive. The car for now is this release is for now only accessible to supporters of the sim racing campaign and early access people with early access to the releases from for the Automobilista sim. Guys, this car is well, is really difficult to handle. It will take you, once you put your hands on this beast, it will take you several hours, yeah, several hours for sure, to get acquainted with this car, to really understand up to 80% maybe how it performs on track and how it behaves on track. But when I say 80% is because even after a few hours driving this car, you will never make it in doing absolutely equal laps, lap after lap. Every lap with this car is different. Every lap with this car is a challenge to overcome, because this car is really tricky, really difficult to handle. So this car has the same engine as the race version we published a few days ago. So it's basically the same 6.3 liter Chevrolet engine, V8 with rear-wheel drive. This one is 30 kilos lighter than the race car. So the race car has 1,100 kilos. This has 1,070 kilos. However, this car is quite different in all the rest. This uses a 5-speed gearbox H type, so you have to use it manually, when the other one had a 6-speed sequential gearbox with power shift. So first challenge, manage the gearbox, so manage the transmission of this car, not easy. Secondly, the race car had a power of 490 horsepower at 6,900 RPM. Well, this one has 626 horsepower at 7,000 RPM. So we are talking about more or less, not more or less, exactly 170 and 127 horsepower more in the street version. Normally, race cars have more power than street cars. This is not the case with this street car here you are watching. We are showing you 2 or 3 laps with the car in TV cam so that you have a proper look at the car. Then we go to onboard laps. Also, this car has, in the race car version, it has a torque of 570 Newton meters at 4,600 RPM. Well, the street car, guys, 731 Newton meter at 4,800 RPM. We are talking about a massive torque for a street car. which makes this car really, really, really hard to handle. When we started driving this car, at first we were getting desperate because it's really difficult to handle the braking. It's really difficult to handle the acceleration. It's really difficult to handle the car basically everywhere you drive. Every track you'll have trouble driving this car. But once you start taking it easy, and once you start trying to dominate this beast and understanding that it's much more about driving smoothly than driving aggressively, well, this definitely will become for sure one of the funniest and most challenging cars you'll ever drive in sim racing, at least judging by what we have at the moment available in sim racing overall. I mean overall, not just in this sim, but I mean overall. Because this car really handles as a, well, it has a go-kart, just handles like a go-kart, only with much more power than a go-kart. So basically you'll have a really hard time managing on braking, for instance, and on reducing from third to second gear. You have to be really smooth, otherwise this car will turn around. Will turn around to you. Basically spin all the time, because it has so much torque and the power is so rough on the wheels, on the transmission, that this car will turn on you a lot of times. So you have to handle really the gearbox and the braking smoothly, and I would advise you to, most of the time in turns where you would turn in second gear, do it in third. You'll use the brakes for a little bit longer, but you'll be able to deal with the acceleration, because with the massive amount of torque this car has, you have to be really smooth on acceleration, because otherwise the rear will dance everywhere. So it's really going to be a challenge for you to understand how to handle this car on track, no matter which track you choose. We chose this one just so that we were always showing these new cars on the tracks that come with them. So this is about the Brit Pack, which gathers several cars and 3 tracks. We already showed the race car in Brands Hatch Grand Prix version, which is one of the new tracks that will be available. Concerning that, bearing in mind that you have to pay for the DLC. So we decided to bring this street version to this track. It is really difficult to handle this car. It is really difficult because, well, you have no aids. You have no aids when it comes to driving this car. It is what you see is what you get. It's no traction control, no aids whatsoever. So you have to no aids, because it's a lot of help when you are able to gear the car sequentially, with your gears sequentially. Not gonna happen in this car. You have to use the clutch manually. You can use some techniques in driving, but unless you are skilled using those techniques, using the accelerator and the braking at the same time, don't go into adventures you cannot control. Just drive slower, use the clutch, use the rear, use the brake, and use the acceleration with your right foot. If you cannot handle both at the same time, just use one at a time and try to manage it smoothly. Even so, it will take you several hours to understand and to manage this beast. And very important, do not rush into decisions when braking and when gearing with this car. So it's not a good idea to brake late with this car, but you'll realize that once you drive it. So another thing you have to consider is that when braking with this car, you have to have the car really, how do I say this? You have to have your steering right. So don't brake when you are in the middle of a turn or entering a turn. Don't accelerate when you are still exiting the turn. This car will turn on you. You will lose control of the rear, and it will be difficult, because when you accelerate normally you are going to accelerate hard, and on exit you must manage the throttle in this car smoothly, which is opposite of hard, of strong, of fast. Even when accelerating smoothly, the rear will move. You can enjoy that and have some fun with the car sliding, but smoothly, because if you push the pedal hard, well, 80-degree or a spin, just a spin, easy, because that will happen with this car until you are used to driving it, and after you are used to, but after you are used it will happen less. When you are trying to get used, it will happen all the time, because its reactions are really pure and very direct, very fast. So there's no other way to put it. This is a different car. That's why this is the fastest or the quickest supercar in acceleration. It's impressive how you enter a straight and start accelerating with this car, and how fast it goes from, say, 120 kilometers per hour to 270. It's just like that. It's really fast. Also on braking, it's really powerful on braking, and therefore you have to manage the brake, because otherwise the wheels will block and you'll lose control of the car, and it's really difficult. For instance, in stages like this one, like this section where we are now, you have to be really smooth on braking. Bear in mind that I only went down in the shift, in the gear shifting up to third gear. It's impossible when you are braking and the car is already turning that you are going to use second gear. Try it, see what happens. Yeah, it's not going to end up well, because this car is really powerful in performance, and well, I don't know if you have a clue of this, but 731 Newton meters is a massive torque. This means that this car, you can almost do everything in this car, even entering a slow turn in third gear. For instance, here we prefer to use second gear, but we could do it in third. It would be slower on acceleration, but once the engine picks up that point where it shoots, it would go as a bullet again, but it would take longer than accelerating on second gear. But most of the time you'll have to, for instance here, third gear, and even so the car dances, and when you look at it, you are no longer in control of the car. The car is in control of you. So it will have to be really smooth, and take your time. This is the most difficult car you've ever driven. Once you understand how it performs on track, how it behaves on track, it will be one of the funniest experiences you'll ever have, because the car is like a go-kart but with a lot of power. But it will take you some time to get to that stage. Until then, you'll be suffering with this beast. No doubt one of the most interesting cars you have the chance to drive in sim racing. Thank you, Razer Studios, for that. Bye bye, guys.